My name is Connell Lewis, and I'm from Detroit, but I reside in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You know, Detroit's really fast, and I grew up on the east side of Detroit. You know, and it's, you know, whatever urban is, Detroit is it. Everywhere you go in Detroit, for the most part, it's predominantly black. Well, in Minneapolis, it was exactly the opposite. You know, actually, it's so many various cultures represented in Minneapolis. So it was you know, it was more of a let's see what the world kind of looks like kind of thing for me. Again, I played basketball for 4 years. Matter of fact, that's why I came to Minnesota. I was on a basketball scholarship. Later on in my college, I started really honing in on, okay, what am I going to do after this? And so I did a little business, and I did mostly sociology kind of stuff that dealt with people, because I really wanted to deal with people. I really wanted to figure out how to help people in some capacity. And right after I graduated out of college, then I said, okay, I'm going to need to try to figure out what this God thing is really all about for myself. And so I started really going to church, and the more I went to church, the more I listened to the music, the more I realized, okay, something's happening in me through the music. I had boxes of lyrics and hooks and verses, and I hadn't. You know, I wasn't versed in music, so all I knew is I had it. I'd sing it to myself, or I'd put on a little CD or something, or a little tape recorder, and I'd just leave it. But I just kept doing that. I joined the choir at church, and the more I started learning about singing, and the more I started hearing all these different songs, and the more I realized, okay, maybe we should try to do some of these songs. At least maybe I should give it to the choir director to see if he could figure out how to use some of these things I write. And the more we did that, the more I just got involved, and I started saying, okay, I'm supposed to do something with this. After I joined the choir, then I joined a community choir, which is pretty known, Excelsior, you know, locally anyway, in Minneapolis. And so I joined Excelsior, and then I was there, and I did what I need to do there. But in the midst of all that, you know, I was doing ministry, and so I was an assistant pastor. I was teaching, and I was preaching, and so music was still kind of a side kind of thought process. And then, you know, the more I did it, the more I did ministry, the more the music kept being a part of it, and that's where I find myself today. My most favorite gospel artist, singer, pastor in the gospel music world is Marvin Winans, and so, you know, I probably have every CD the Winans of any nature ever made, every song, and so certainly I've been influenced by the musical gifts and talents out in Detroit. You know, I grew up in a pretty poverty-stricken kind of situation, no father. Met my father once, probably saw him 2 or 3 times throughout my whole life. And my mother was a drug addict for the most part all through my high school and all through my growing up times. And so I was more of a survivalist kind of kid. You know, what I did in the streets. But I had 2 things that, you know, obviously God gave me that helped me. One is He gave me a talent to play a sport. And then 2, I was the kind of person that all I had to do was see another person experience a situation, and I already knew that that situation wasn't going to happen to me because I wasn't going to go that route. You know, looking back, I think all these things gonna work together for the good. At least I think they are now, and that, you know, I'm a stronger person. So, you know, one of the keys in music ministry, especially from a national perspective, is if you're not internally strong on who you were created to be, then you're constantly trying to be what someone else wants you to be. The name of the single is "Ain't That the Truth." It's time. talking and sharing some different things that was happening in my life, and sharing and listening to other people share different things and I kept finding myself saying, ain't that the truth? You know, and it's something that my grandmother used to say, you know, a long time ago, especially when something was pretty dramatic and something happened that people weren't expecting, you know, they just say, ain't that the truth? And I just kept finding myself saying, man, ain't that the truth? You know, and so as I started listening to myself say that, the song just came, especially in our day and age now where, you know, they keep talking about the economy and all this other stuff. People need to have, in my mind, the truth to draw on so that they can keep moving forward instead of, you know, getting caught in that situation where they just don't see no hope, and they feel like just quitting. And you know, and it's sad because in our day, people are quitting and they're not going forward in spite of their situations that they see. And I just want this song to bring a little comfort, a little strength, a little encouragement to people to, you know, keep going. You're gonna be all right. The next single that, at least my plan at this point to release, is titled "Don't Give Up." And "Don't Give Up" is probably my most special song because it literally gives an account of how I grew up, you know, from poverty to shooting dice on the corner to get some money to go to school and to have lunch, to being labeled a kid that's not gonna make it because I don't have a father and my mother's on drugs. You know, it literally chronicles in a 4-minute piece basically my life story to date. And so and then the overall theme is, but don't give up, because no matter how bad that was, God can still bring you out and you can still make it. Those of you who are viewing this video, much thanks to you, and hopefully that we are able to provide something that really strengthens your life, and hopefully it's been a blessing to you.